How do you share research experiences within your med school application? Hi, I'm Shivani Mehta, your resident research expert at MedSchoolCoach and author of Demystifying Research for Pre-Medical Students. Over the next several minutes, we're going to talk about how to make research part of your story within your med school application. In an earlier video, I mentioned that you can do any kind of research, whether that's biological, wet lab research, clinical, mathematical, historical, computational, as long as it connects to health and the human experience. Ultimately, whatever you decide to do should connect to why you want to be a doctor. For example, some students will do a quick summer of cancer research that was not meaningful to them in any way. They simply joined the lab because they thought it would look good on their resume, and they have no plans to continue it for the rest of their pre-med years. They found it boring because they spent the summer pipetting without trying to learn the bigger picture of the project. In this scenario, medical schools can see right through your attempt to check off a box. In contrast, a stronger applicant may take their time to figure out what they like. Perhaps they were volunteering at a cancer clinic and wanted to explore the science behind it, or they took a class in cell biology and they wanted to see the real-world application of it. Imagine then the strong applicant joins a cancer lab and spends the summer pipetting, but also learning new skills and scientific methods. They may even potentially stay in touch with the lab in the school year and reach out the following summer to continue. Ultimately, these are all things you want to showcase in your application. In addition to really diving in your research experience, you should also connect your experience with your other extracurriculars. For example, if you're really interested in cancer research, you may show your passion by volunteering for breast cancer awareness organizations, volunteering in the oncology department in the local hospital, or shadowing an oncologist in the area. Do you see how all of these activities fall under the bigger umbrella of cancer? This way, when it's time to talk about your research experience, you can seamlessly connect it to other experiences by making it more holistic. We understand that based on the niche of your research, it may not directly connect with other opportunities, but try to find those other connections. For you may be doing anthropology research regarding the definition of health and illness. This can easily be connected to social medicine today, and you may volunteer as a health advocate for patients in hospitals who are struggling with their health insurance, food insecurity, or homelessness. Remember that your interest and passion will show, and if you're doing research, it should connect to the bigger goals of who you are as a person. After all of your hard work, it is time to present yourself to medical schools. The way you market yourself in your med school application will change the way you are viewed. At this stage of the application process, many students will have done research, and you must stand out with the strict word limit in your application. Over and over again, we've read students' applications who dive into the details of their project. We totally understand that the project you're working on is really interesting, and you can talk a lot about it. But if the admissions director is reading thousands of applications, they'll get lost in the details and won't take away much if you get really stuck in the details of your project. This is ultimately to your disadvantage. Instead, your focus in your application should be on your growth in the lab. Did you go from being a research assistant to a research coordinator? What were the skills you learned? Did you analyze data, collect data, and participate in the writing, like the things that we discussed in the previous video? Who did you interact with? Was it patients? Was it other researchers? Was it physicians? And lastly, include a sentence about any presentations, posters, or publications, or any other bodies of work that you were a part of. Even if you're not an author on them, this is the chance to still include that you helped out in your application. All of these experiences will the interest of the admissions committee because they will showcase that you are a leader, adaptable in most situations, and a quick learner. It is something to be proud of to work on a research job while you are in college and pick up the skills in such a short period of time. This is your chance to brag about it. Okay, let's discuss how to talk about multiple research experiences in your application. Students jump from lab to lab when trying to discover their passions, so it's normal to have multiple lab experiences in your app. We advise discussing 1 to 3 research experiences. When it comes to research on your application, consistency is highly valued. This includes staying in the same lab for 1 to 2 years or sticking to the same research topic for several years, even if you were in different labs. For example, you may have collected data in both of your lab experiences, but changed the exact skills you write about in each experience. Next, how do you discuss posters, publications, and presentations on your application? If you have your name in a poster, publication, or presentation, there will be a separate box for you to discuss this in the MedSchool app. Since you already explained your projects in the research section that we just talked about, it's best to have this publication poster section as a bibliography type list in AMA citation format. If there are too many authors, you should ensure that your name and your PI's name are in the author lines and that your name is bolded. The title also needs to be searchable online. Admissions committees understand that there isn't enough room to include all the details of the publication, so include just enough that your role is evident and that it can be verified online. In this video, we discuss the different ways to weave research into your story and then discuss it in your med school application in a strong way. When you are fortunate enough to land a med school interview, you can incorporate the same knowledge from this research to tell your stories in person and reinforce your passions and let your true self show through. From there, med school is truly just an acceptance away.